Hi, my name's Kelly Yam. I'm on the church leadership team, and many of you have been praying for me lately, so I just wanted to give you a little update on what's been going on with me and share my story with you. It was 11 years ago when I was first diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a blood cancer, and Isaiah 41:10 has meant a lot to me, and I wanted to read that to you. It says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." When I was first diagnosed, I had a picture in my mind, of Jesus standing at the entrance to a very difficult path. And down that road, it involved cancer. And he had his hand stretched out to me and said, "We're going this way." And said, "Take my hand. I've got this." And Jesus has walked this road with me from the very beginning, and he's been faithful to me. There's not a cure for my cancer, so treatments are effective just for a short time, and then we have to come up with a new plan. So I've been through a few cycles of different treatment plans, and this last October, CAR T-cell therapy was the next new plan, and that's where they would take T-cells out of my body, supercharge them, and about 6 to 8 weeks later put them back in, and so then my own immune system can help fight off the cancer. And we had got as far as the collection, and then we were waiting. But then I got a phone call from my doctor, and he said my blood count did not look good. Basically, the cancer was out of control, and I needed to do some urgent intensive chemotherapy, and he wanted me at the hospital the next day. So I packed my bags, and after 2.5 weeks in the hospital, he reported that it was not successful. It was a total failure, and I had not anticipated that that was a possibility. He did not sound very hopeful, and we needed to do something else. Now I'm just in a worse condition, still, 2.5 weeks later, and things still didn't look good. So what to do now? I was coming to the conclusion that I was probably going to die, and it was hard. Um, he saw that I could use a little mental break, and he gave me a week off, and we got to come home. Spent some time with some friends who love me, praying for us. That was so helpful. My husband and I spent some time reminiscing and taking a drive and remembering places we'd been fishing and camping, and we had some serious, difficult conversations about what our future might hold. Then we went back to the hospital for another 2.5 weeks stay and had a new treatment. And that medication brought about severe bone pain and high fevers, but that was expected. Those were all signs that it was working. So I guess that was a good thing. But it was hard. I struggled. It was the most difficult time in my life where my faith was really challenged. It was hard for me to have the mental capacity to read my Bible or to pray. But I knew that people who loved me were praying for me. So that was so encouraging to know that I was being held up in prayer. I probably met 30 to 40 nurses while I was there. And every conversation was just so superficial. I wish that I had enough courage to bring up more intimate conversation and tell them that I was a Christian, that I loved Jesus, and Jesus didn't come up in the conversation, and I felt bad about that. I wished I had more courage. During that hard time, I had a couple prayer requests for the Lord. I told him that I'd really like to be around when my daughter gets married. I'd really like to be around to experience our first grandchild and be there, with my husband to enjoy that together. So those were some prayer requests. Realizing that these two unexpected treatments were going to delay the CAR T-cell therapy, I was concerned I wasn't going to get to have Christmas with my kids. So that was another prayer request. But we worked through that. One morning I woke up crying, and I just couldn't stop crying. I couldn't get a grip. But about that afternoon, a doctor came in that I had not met before, and she asked how I was, and I told her I just can't stop crying. And she says, "Well, that's okay. It's hard. It's difficult what you're going through. It's good to express those emotions. Let me give you a hug." And so she did, and I felt better the rest of the afternoon and evening. No more crying that day. But then the next day, I'm thinking she must have been a Christian. God sent her. He did that once before, if you've heard my story from 10 years ago. Um, but he sent this doctor this time with a hug from him. And I thought, she's got to be a believer. I'm going to ask her. So when I saw her again, I did ask her, and it turns out, no, I don't think she knows Jesus. But God uses people who don't even know him. He uses to do his work, and he sent her with that hug from him, and it was just a reminder that he loved me and he was taking care of my emotional need at that moment. um, well, everything was working, so we were on track for CAR T cell therapy, and that got scheduled for January. So I got to celebrate Christmas with my kids and my husband, and we had a wonderful time. Recently, I had a bone marrow biopsy to determine the effectiveness of that CAR T cell therapy. And while I was there, the nurse practitioner doing the biopsy says, "Oh, Kelly, tell me about yourself." And so I start with the normal superficial stuff. Oh, how long I've been married and my 2 adult kids, but the most important thing about me is that I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus, and it changes everything. It influences everything I do. And so she says, "Well, it's great that you have a strong faith that you can, fall on when you are desperate and going through hard times like this." I said, "Oh, knowing that God was with me made all the difference in the world." And so that was a good experience for me to be able to share that with her. Since another answer to prayer was that my daughter is engaged now and I'm around. I got to be feeling good enough in April to go wedding dress shopping with her, and she'll be married in July. So Lord willing, I'll still be around for that. And then I got the results of my bone marrow biopsy, which showed better than complete response, and no cancer cells were detected at this time. So thank you for your prayers. God answered those prayers, and I can't wait to get to heaven and see how your prayers changed my life. I'm growing, and that's good, and I think God is getting glory. So in your difficult times, know that he's with you, he loves you, and he's available.